You walked into a room last week. Nobody looked up. You spoke in a meeting. Someone talked over you. You set a boundary. They ignored it. Now think about someone else you know, someone who walks into that same room and the air shifts. They don't raise their voice. They don't demand attention. But somehow everyone adjusts. Everyone notices. That isn't luck. That isn't genetics. That is a psychological architecture you were never taught to build. Here's why this matters. In the psychology of power, people who lack presence don't just get overlooked, they get targeted. Manipulators, narcissists, emotional predators, they select their victims based on one unconscious calculation. Can I control this person without resistance? A dangerous aura isn't about aggression. It's about broadcasting a signal that says, I am not a safe person to manipulate. When you lack that signal, you become a repeated target for people manipulation. In workplaces, in relationships, in every social space you enter. Today you learn to build that signal from the ground up. The mechanism behind a commanding presence is rooted in documented human behavior research. There are 3 psychological components working beneath the surface. First, predictive uncertainty. Robert Greene wrote extensively about this in The 48 Laws of Power. People who are completely predictable become controllable. When others cannot fully map your next move, their subconscious mind registers you as someone to approach carefully. This isn't about being erratic. It's about strategic restraint. You don't reveal every opinion. You don't react to every provocation. You become selectively unreadable. Second, controlled emotional absence. Research in cognitive bias shows that humans assign more value to things that are scarce. This applies to emotional reactions. When you give your emotional energy freely to everyone, it carries no weight. When you become selective, each response you give lands with gravity. People begin watching for your reaction specifically because it's rare. Third, physical groundedness. Albert Mehrabian's communication research found that the majority of social signaling is nonverbal. A person who is physically still, who doesn't fidget, who holds eye contact 1 beat longer than comfortable, triggers an ancient threat detection circuit in others. Not fear exactly, respect. The body communicates before the mouth ever opens. Let me show you how this looks in practice. Scenario 1, the workplace. 2 people sit in the same meeting. One fills every silence with nervous chatter, nods eagerly at everything the boss says, laughs too quickly at jokes. The other sits still, speaks only when their point is complete, pauses before answering questions, maintains eye contact while listening. When the second person finally speaks, the room tilts toward them. This isn't dark psychology and manipulation. This is physics. Scarcity creates value. Scenario 2. A social setting. Someone throws a disrespectful comment your way. The common response is to either flinch or escalate. Both responses give the aggressor control. But imagine a third option. You hold eye contact. You say nothing for 2 full seconds. Then you respond quietly, without heat. That silence is devastating. It communicates that you are choosing whether this person deserves a response at all. The power dynamic reverses instantly. Scenario 3. A relationship. Your partner uses emotional manipulation, guilt-tripping, sulking, withdrawing affection to control your behavior. Someone without presence scrambles to fix it. They apologize for things they didn't do. But someone with a dangerous aura recognizes the tactic, remains emotionally centered, and simply doesn't chase. This neutralizes the manipulation because it depends on your emotional reactivity to function. But here's what manipulators don't want you to know. This aura they project so naturally, most of them built it deliberately. They studied how to influence people. They practiced shadow work on their own insecurities until those insecurities stopped leaking out through their body language. There is nothing mystical about it. It is a skill. And once you see the structure, you can build it yourself, not to manipulate others, but as pure self-defense against those who already use these dynamics against you. Here is your defense protocol. 5 practices that build this presence over time. 1. The 2-second rule. Before you respond to anything, whether an insult, a question, or a request, pause for 2 seconds. This rewires your subconscious mind away from reactive patterns. It also signals to others that you are choosing your words, not scrambling for them. 2. Eliminate performative agreement. Stop nodding along when you don't agree. Stop laughing at things that aren't funny. Every false signal you send trains people to see you as manageable. Narcissism awareness starts with recognizing how much of your behavior is performance for others' comfort. 3. Develop comfort with silence. Most people flood silence with words because silence feels threatening. Practice letting pauses exist. In conversations, let the other person fill the gap. You'll notice an immediate shift in how they perceive your psychology of power. 4. Reduce physical movement. Stillness communicates control. Fidgeting communicates anxiety. When standing, plant your feet. When sitting, take space. When gesturing, move slowly and deliberately. This is the nonverbal foundation of presence. 5. Set boundaries without justification. When you say no, do not explain why. The moment you offer a reason, you invite negotiation. A simple, "that doesn't work for me" is complete. No further explanation required. People who are dark psychology exposed understand that explanation is a leverage point manipulators exploit. Now zoom out. The bigger picture here is this. Every one of these practices serves a dual purpose. Yes, they build an aura that commands respect. But more importantly, they dismantle the patterns that made you vulnerable in the first place. Reactivity, people-pleasing, over-explaining, physical anxiety. These aren't personality traits. They're habits formed under pressure, often from past manipulation. When you build this presence, you aren't becoming someone else. You're removing the learned helplessness that was installed by people who benefited from your compliance. Awareness of psychological manipulation is itself a form of armor. Once you see the game, you cannot be played the same way again. Remember that room you walked into where nobody looked up. Imagine walking in differently now. Not louder, not aggressive, just grounded, still, selectively engaged. You don't need everyone's attention, but the people who are watching, and someone is always watching, they register something different about you now. Something that says, this person is not available for games. The most dangerous aura isn't one that threatens others. It's one that communicates complete immunity to their tactics. Use this knowledge to protect yourself, never to diminish someone else. Dark psychology. Understand people. Protect yourself.